Hey, good evening, folks, on this happy Monday night. And obviously, I am not Dana Hamill. I'm Liz Goodman, and we're going to be taking the show in a slightly new, different direction. So, just to get started, this show is going to be about helping people to get in shape as they enter the later part of their lives, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. But the reality is, it doesn't matter where you are in your life or how old you are. It matters how you take care of yourself and what you do to survive on a daily basis, stay thin, stay fit, stay in shape. Today I have a guest who's here to talk to us about a new procedure, a less invasive procedure for people that want to lose weight, that have been having difficulty losing weight. And they've tried a lot of different things. They've even considered bariatric surgery, but were unable to have bariatric surgery. My guest today is a doctor by the name of Dr. Fernando Bayron. He is a board-certified general and bariatric surgeon, and he is the first doctor in South Florida to start offering a new procedure called the Reshape procedure. He's based at Florida Medical Center. To reach Dr. Fernando Bayron, his telephone number is 954-625-3576. That's 954-625-3576. And he's located at 8395 West Oakland Park Boulevard, Suite F at Sunrise, Florida. And he is part of a Tenants Hospital surgical group. Actually, I think I just screwed that up, guys. So I'm going to have the good doctor.
Florida Physician Services.
I'm going to have the doctor fix that. That teaches me for getting a show last minute and not taking proper notes. But if anybody wants to talk to the good doctor, they can call us in at 888-565-1470, 888-565-1470. So I want this show to be a little bit, lighthearted, talk about a serious subject, but not have to be so serious about it, because people get nervous when they think about procedures that are invasive in any way, whether it's endoscopically or, surgically. I think it's a nerve-wracking experience. So if you don't mind, Doc, if you can tell me a little bit about yourself, why you decided to start doing the Reshape, and what you do and what your practice is about.
Well, thank you, Liz. Thank you for having me. For all. And the name is Tenet Florida Physician Services.
Thank you.
So we're very excited that we have been able to start doing this procedure. We have been waiting for the availability of this technique for many years. The reason why this is so important is because we all know that being fit is important, not being overweight is important, because being overweight or obese leads to all kind of medical complications, morbidity, people dying younger than what they should. But even more than that, it leads to people just not enjoying their life and their family and the outdoors. So we want to be in shape and we want to be fit. But the problem is that we are very successful doing surgery in people who are extremely obese. We are very successful in doing exercise and diet in people that are not that obese. But about 1/3, 25 to 30% of our population, especially as you say, when we start aging, lay in that area that we call overweight to obesity, the BMI 30 to 40, which is the area where we know that exercise and diet alone won't work.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Doc. I'm a mom who has 15 pounds that I've been holding on to for 10 years. So somebody like me who's about 15 pounds past the weight that I want to be at, can I get this kind of surgery, or do I really need to be do I need to gain 20 pounds to lose 40 or 30 or 35?
Well, not in the United States. It's being used with those purposes in other parts of the world, not in the United States. Remember that here we have the FDA that really controls and dictates what we use devices for. So, no, unfortunately not.
Okay, I have a question for you. So, actually, before I get into the question, because I'm really disappointed and sad that I can't just balloon my stomach and shrink it down and start to get off this excess weight. But what I was reading about this surgery, the Reshape, and why it's so exciting, it says that the medical community, for patients alike, have been waiting for an alternate for an overweight patient who don't qualify for surgery. And like you said, being that this is a relatively new procedure, I think we talked earlier that there's only been about 6 or 8 patients that have done the procedure, all successful. I want patients to understand why it's different. I know we have a video that shows what's so different about it. If you don't mind, I'm going to roll that video now and then have you explain to our listeners what exactly what the procedure's like. For people who want to go online and watch it, it's www.amp2.tv. That's AMP2, the number 2.tv. Doc, can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, we're watching a video that describes, it's an animation of how this procedure is done. So this technique doesn't involve any surgery or incision. We simply introduce through the mouth using an endoscope a double latex balloon that we inflate inside of the stomach, and we put about 900 cc's of liquid. That balloon stays in the stomach, filling and occupying the space of the stomach for 6 months, and that is what the procedure is all about. Your stomach is going to be full with liquid for 6 months.
So it's a non-surgical procedure performed endoscopically under moderate sedation with a double silicone balloon, which is inserted into the stomach and filled with a saline solution, right? And what's really incredible to me is that it only takes 15 minutes and the patient can go home 2 hours later. I mean, my goodness, to be able to go in 15 minutes, I mean, there's a lot of things we do in 15 minutes, yeah. Doc, right? But to be able to lose weight almost in 15 minutes or at least have the possibility of that, that's incredible.
It's incredible. It was even surprising for us when we learned the technique because it doesn't imply any incision. It doesn't imply general anesthesia. It's just, as I told you, you simply do an endoscopy through your mouth, deliver the balloon to the stomach, inflate the balloon, and boom, you're done.
Okay, so what does a patient have to do to prepare for the surgery, and how do they know if they're the right person for that procedure?
Well, the candidates for this procedure are people that have a BMI between 30 and 40. BMI is a calculation we do considering how tall you are versus how much you weigh, because people say you take Shaquille O'Neal, he may be 210, 220 pounds, he's not overweight, whereas if you are 4'8" and you are 220, you are severely overweight. So we have to have a way of comparing people. That's called a BMI. So when somebody has a BMI of 40, that would be about 100 pounds extra in somebody of average height. So if you're 5'8" or 5'9", that would be a BMI 40. So this procedure is indicated for people BMI 30 to 40. So let's translate that to pounds. That would be somebody who is between 30, 35 pounds to 90 pounds overweight of standard height.
Well, what are some of the reasons somebody wouldn't qualify for bariatric surgery, besides the fact that, let's say they fall into that 40 to 65 or 85 pound category? Does it have to do with health or not being able to get anesthesia? Like, what would be the reason they would choose this versus that?
Well, there are people that are just averse at surgery. They just cannot deal the stress that surgery causes them, even though nowadays we do bariatric surgery in a very safe way with minimal chances of complication. There are other people that just cannot withstand the surgery, the anesthesia, and they would consider doing the Reshape. So even though the FDA has approved the procedure for patients strictly between 30 and 40, in other parts of the world, I'm sure soon here in our practice, we would be able to do them in patients that don't want to do bariatric surgery, even though they're overweight. Now, there is another set of people that at this point we're not offering because, again, it's not FDA approved, but it's an important place where this is going to go in several years because it's being done successfully in other places in the world. When you have people that too extremely obese, say your BMI is not 50 or 45, your BMI is 100, and we have patients like that. In other places of the world, they are placing the balloon for people to lose some weight to make them better candidates for eventually having a surgery.
I understand. So a patient who, let's say, is extremely obese and doesn't qualify for the reshape, you help them to lose a little weight and get them ready for this reshape because maybe they're adverse to surgery.
Correct.
So a couple of quick questions on that note. So first of all, I understand that there's like a psychological aspect to this procedure. So before doing a procedure like this, is there a preparation time? Is there counseling? Is there something that has to be done to prep somebody for putting the balloons in? And then when surgery is finished, which I think takes about 6 months, they keep the balloons in their stomach for.
Yes.
What exactly happens to take the balloons out, and how quickly do they sort of see a difference in their weight or their diet? And during that time, do they have a person who works with them psychologically on changing the way they eat? Is that set up through you or through somebody else?
Yes, and let me clarify. When we call the reshape procedure, it's not limited to the balloon. The balloon is the aggressive part, what we call the jump start, the tool that we're going to give the patients so they can start losing weight. As you say, the psychological and group support is integral not only to reshape, to any kind of weight loss procedure we do. Reshape is developed in conjunction with a website that you have access to when you sign up for the procedure, and it will allow you to get support and participate in blogs and constant activities with other patients that are going through the procedure at the same time, and it requires also visits to us monthly to follow you up with the psychological aspect.
And when the balloons come out, which was the second part of my question, and I know I throw a lot at you, I do that sometimes. So when the balloons come out, do you have like a certain time period where they'll see the results, or is it an instantaneous result? I mean, because they're eating less, I assume, because they fill up faster. So they should naturally and organically just start to lose weight. But do they go to your website or to the Reshape website, and then is there a way to track this? And what will they see when the balloons come out?
Well, the patients start losing weight immediately because, again, your stomach is going to be full. In fact, the only part that worries the patients during the first 7 days, they feel like they're stuffed. They feel like a turkey is in their stomach. So, as you say, it's totally natural. You just don't eat because you cannot eat that much. After 6 months, the balloon needs to come out. After it comes out, we hope, and it's our goal, that you have been following up with us and getting the support from the website so you can keep losing weight and keep the weight loss that you have attained until then.
Well, how will you keep the patient so their stomach will automatically go back to normal, I assume. So how do you keep that patient from automatically starting to eat a lot again and putting that weight back on? What is the follow-up?
Well, the studies that were done to approve the reshape say that people who follow the program as it should be would retain about 90% of the weight loss that they attain during the jumpstart phase. So what we do is, again, we follow the patients for a year, monthly, both in person, and we have an excellent staff of coordinators that will keep calling them to make sure that they affect the lifestyle changes that they need to do. But unfortunately, just as in Reshape, as any diet that you do or any surgery, if you don't commit yourself to do the lifestyle changes, weight will come back. Weight is a disease that will come back.
Well, that's why it's really important, the psychological aspect. So the patient builds a relationship and a rapport with you as their doctor, and then I assume you as their doctor and your staff are connected to this patient through your website, and they can contact you on the telephone, and they can talk to you whenever they feel insecure about the direction they're going. Do you work with nutritionists, or do you work with, let's say, a weight loss gym, or anybody specifically on your staff who helps them with that follow-up?
Yes. Again, a dietitian is an important part of any weight loss program. So the patients are evaluated by the dietitian before and follow up by the dietitian, again, in a monthly basis after they have the reshape. Plus, the website has excellent dietetic tips. They hire full-time dietitians to give tips on the website. So that's part of the issue. You need to learn how to eat. And it's not only about volume, it's also about choices.
Do they go to your website, or do they have a personalized website that's set up for them? Or is it like reshape.com? Where exactly do they have to go to?
They have a personalized website. They can look it up at reshapeready.com.
Reshapeready.com.
And it's a tool provided by the developers of this wonderful device that will connect them in a community of reshapers, people that have... And
That's cute, reshapers. They become a reshaper.
and it's funny, they have little competitions. They compete on who lost them. It's like the biggest loser just online. And they actually get prizes, who lost the most and everything.
So it becomes like a fun competition. It reminds me, there was a TV show where some of the characters, I don't know if it was a Marvel show, but it was all about reshaping, and they would be able to like change shapes to get through a door, change shape.
I remember
do you remember
one?
that show? Yeah. I think it was Hayden Panettiere. But, I like the idea. I like the name Reshape. I think it's catchy. I like the premise that somebody can kickstart a weight loss program. And I really like the fact that they can have their own website, their own page. They have a community that they join together with, and that you're a part of that community. So if they want to find more about this, they can go to reshapeready.com, or they can go onto your website, which is drFernandoBayron.com. And I'm going to spell that out for my listeners. That's DrFernandoBayron.com. So it's kind of spelled like it sounds. And again, they can call in to speak with the doctor at 888-565-1470, or you can speak to the doctor directly after the show at 954-625-3576. So I want to get into some other things, because I know you're a sassy doctor and you got lots of stuff up your sleeve other than just, this one reshape procedure, since it's only, it's a relatively innovative procedure. For instance, I know that you have been doing bariatric surgery for quite some time, and you're very experienced, and your patients have had great success. So can you just tell me about a favorite patient? Well, I don't want to make you pick a favorite, but just about a patient that you went through the procedure and you've seen success and that you still have a relationship with, and how it maybe changed their life that you know about.
As we were speaking before, I'm a general surgeon. I do everything. I do gallbladders, hernias, robotic surgery, bariatric surgery. But I got into bariatric surgery because it's the first time I did a bariatric procedure. The change that I attained in the life of that person was so dramatic that I said, well, there's something in it. When you do bariatric surgery, you really change a person's life. I can take out your gallbladder, and I'm sure you will be grateful and happy and will be able to eat better. But it's never as dramatic as when somebody loses their weight and become healthy. Why? Because you see them become other persons. You see them become active. You see them interact more with their sons and daughters. You see their families
right. I think
happy.
That's the beautiful thing about when you actually change somebody who is obese. I've worked in this industry before. I actually did a thing that was called Change a Life Boca, and I was working with another weight loss program, and we were doing a competition where we had people send us our stories and tell us what it is it would mean for them to win this great weight loss adventure, we called it. And I did notice that when you help somebody, especially somebody who's obese, and I hate that term obese, I think it's just a nasty, awful term, but somebody who's obese, lose 100, 150 pounds, you really change their life. But being a general surgeon, and I'm sure you work together with plastic surgeons under these circumstances, because when somebody obese does change their life, they also then have to deal with the fat that's left on their body and actually change their looks by removing that fat. So how do you work with your patients on rebuilding their whole body from, once they've lost that weight?
Well, and that's important because, again, when you lose weight, you gain confidence, and then you don't only feel better, you want to feel better about yourself. So everybody then wants to be considered for plastic surgery. We work with plastic surgeons both in the hospital and outside. And the criteria is that when patients have lost between 50 and 70% of the amount of weight they need to lose, we consider them for plastic surgery. If they're big procedures, we refer them to a plastic surgeon. If there are smaller trims that sometimes we need to do, I can do them myself.
Well, I noticed, when I was looking at your website, there's actually a map of from 1991 to 2010 and the trend of adults from 1991 to 2008 specifically, and how the rise in obesity is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just never seems to be reducing. It just seems to be going more and more and more, especially in America. And I don't know if it's because of the portions of food that we're feeding, or because as you stretch your stomach as a kid, you can continue to stretch it throughout your lifetime. I mean, is there like an age that you start working with patients to teach them or work with them to keep their stomachs smaller? Because I see that children are becoming more and more obese.
Well, I believe that we need to start working with children since they learn to eat, because eating is an activity that you do several times a day through your life. And like anything that you really commit to do constantly, you will learn to do it in a certain way. It's very hard to take somebody that has been eating wrongly for 40 years, and then one day tell them, go to bed, we're going to do a surgery and wake up tomorrow with a different mindset, because that won't happen. So ideally, we should start with the children as soon as they learn to eat.
So what is the earliest age that you can perform a surgery on, whether it's the reshape surgery or bariatric surgery? Is there a like 10, 12, 18, or is it any weight? Where do you step in when weight loss isn't working?
Well, I'm an adult surgeon, so I start working with them at 18 to 20. But these procedures can be performed in children. I just don't do them because I specialize in adults. But some bariatric surgeons are working with children starting at 13, 14. This is a very interesting topic because at that age is different. Not only the kids need to learn to eat, but they suffer a lot from discrimination, bullying in school. When they get to college, their social life is affected. So that is a very particular population that is very interesting and that needs help also.
And truly, like with children, besides just the bullying and the fact that, obese children lead to obese adults, it's the health aspect. Because if you start as a child and you're obese, well, then you're going to start getting, high blood pressure and diabetes and all sorts of things that result as a result of being obese. So on the topic of children, is it true, or is it just one of those old wives' tales that if you tend to eat a lot as a child, like some kids are just very active and they're hungry all the time and they can eat 20 worms and it's like they have 20 worms in their bellies, right? Because they eat like 20 hamburgers and never gain a pound. And other kids, they're a little bit different. They eat one hamburger and they put on 5 pounds. Is it because their stomach stretches? The more they eat, their stomach stretches, so therefore they need to eat more. Is that a fallacy? Or is it really just all genetics? And
I think, the science of obesity is so complicated that we are barely starting to understand it now. Many years ago, when we did this procedure, we thought that we were just making smaller stomachs, people would lose weight. But we now realize that it lies in the metabolism, in the genetics. So we are not built the same. Just as somebody can be blonde and somebody be brunette or have clear eyes, there are things in our body that determine how we handle food. And there are people that just cannot tolerate carbohydrates, or people that just cannot burn fat fast enough. We don't have the tools to measure that yet. But the day we discover that, we will be able to do specific interventions.
And if you and I discover it, we're going to be millionaires, Doc.
Yeah.
It's funny because I have 2 kids and neither of my kids are obese and they're very active. However, one child is like skinny like a rail and the other one is stocky and built. And no matter what they eat, it just sits differently. And they're about the same age. So I always thought it was fascinating because they come from the same genetic background, but the food sits on them very differently. So it's an interesting thing to watch children grow and see how food can affect their behavior and the way they eat and the way they are. So when you're raised, and I know you're not a child expert, so let's go back to adults. So when you're dealing with an adult who has always been an obese versus an adult who, let's say, had children, put on a ton of weight and just couldn't get that weight off, how do you psychologically deal with the difference between those people?
Well, again, it has to be a multi-pronged approach because we understand that obesity is not only caused even by what you eat, it's by what you do or don't do. Sometimes it's even out of your hand. There are people that just eat and gain weight. They're built like that. So
I was that kid that my friends, I mean, now I'm normal weight, but when I was a kid, I was skinny like a rail, and I could eat cake and chocolate and ice cream, and my friends would go, God, I hate you. I really hate you. And I'd be like, I can't eat enough. I would take banana milkshakes, and I felt awful. And the funny thing was, most people would get upset if you called them fat, but people never really thought about the fact that when you called somebody skinny, that could be just as hurtful to a child as well. So weight, it's all relative to what a person sees themselves as. I could never gain a pound and felt too skinny. I wish I had that problem now, but as an adult, it's a very, it's always weighing on your mind. And I think it takes a big part of a person to be able to act normally in a normal environment when they're dealing with a weight issue. It weighs down on them, no pun intended. So when you deal with that, and you have to go forth with a bariatric patient, how do you prepare them for that surgery? What is it about your practice that may be unique or different when you're dealing with your patients that that would make a patient say, you know what, I want to call this doctor. I want him to be my doctor.
Well, one of the differences in my practice is that I'm on top of what's happening with everybody. There are many big practices where they get so entangled in too much work that patients feel far from the doctor. In my case, every patient speaks to me directly. Every patient gets counseling by me. Every patient gets to
counseling by you? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You have a cute accent.
Thank you. So it's more personalized. Like, for example, the seminars that everybody does on a monthly basis, I do on a weekly basis because I don't want to have more than 5 or 6 persons there so they can have the chance to talk, and we have a conversation rather
Tell me about these seminars. What are these seminars?
Every Thursday in the morning in the hospital, patients can call and sign up, and they will meet with me. We'll talk about obesity, why it happens, why it's a problem, and what will happen if we don't deal with it, and what we can do. And we can spend there 1, 2, 3 hours talking. Usually it becomes a conversation because for me, it's very important you need to have a motivation to lose weight and to go through all those things. So I want to know from my patients what is their motivator, because that's what I'm going to come back and use when you start straying off. I will say, you remember you told me that you wanted to be skinny for your daughter's wedding? Well, are we getting there or not? Or the wedding is over? Are you going to keep with your commitment? So it's important to deal with the motivators. I always read.
Wait, let me have you repeat that. It's important to deal with what? Did you?
Their motivators. What
the
makes
motivators?
Them...
It's that cute accent you got. So they're motivators. So it's kind of like when I think of like going, Al-Anon or AA or meetings like this for people that have other kinds of addictions. I know food can be an addiction, but sometimes it's not about an addiction. Sometimes it's just about your genetics and things like that. So, but in these groups, they create these motivators, they create these step plans, they create these seminars and these groups, and sometimes partnerships to keep people going. Do you have a similar type environment where when they go to these seminars, it's almost like we talk about what we're doing, therefore we connect with the others, and when we connect with someone else, we understand ourselves better? Is it sort of along that line?
Yeah, that's my approach. That's my basic approach. When I always ask the patients one-on-one, why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to go through this? Mm-hmm. And their first answer will be because I have diabetes and I want to get rid of that. I tell them, no, tell me why you really want to do this.
Let me ask you a question before you move on. So diabetes, there are different types of diabetes, right? There's diabetes that's onset because of weight specifically, right? Can this procedure or any kind of a bariatric or reshape procedure, can it reverse that kind of diabetes?
Yes, definitely. If you lose weight, if your diabetes is type 2, which is the one that is basically associated to being overweight, there's an 85 to 95 chance of you getting rid of your diabetes by losing weight.
So you can actually not only reverse it, but you can actually completely get rid of it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
We can basically type 2 diabetes, for the most, can be cured by losing weight or undergoing a bariatric procedure.
Now, I know that you are a doctor of multitude talents, and it's not just bariatric surgery. You're a general doctor and surgeon. So what is one of the other favorite things that you like to do? Is it dealing with the gallbladder? Is it dealing with gastric bypass? You know, what floats your boat? What gets you excited when someone comes into your office and you know I can help that patient because I specialize in that?
Well, just how I like the Reshape, I told you about emerging technology, something I was looking for and waiting because I thought it was needed. I think that in general surgery, the biggest advance in emerging technologies is robotic surgery.
Robotic surgery?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the robotic surgery? That sounds really cool.
Yeah, patients get scared. They ask me, is a robot going to do the surgery? No, robotic surgery is a device that we use as an adjunct to the laparoscope.
Say that again, as an adjunct?
Something that improves on the laparoscope. And it allows us to do surgeries through a minimal amount of incisions with minimal blood loss and better recovery. So it's better for the patient, and it's technically a lot of fun. We sit in a console, we work with this instrument where we kind of manage.
Wait, I'm trying to understand though. So is it an actual robot that you're using? Is it like, E.T., like a little robot guide that comes, or is it you? How does it work? Is it like a robot standing next to you? Is it tools that are robotic? I don't get it.
It has a name. It's called Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, like the artist?
Yes. And what we do is basically what you say is a robot that has 3 arms. And those arms...
Wait, the robot has 3 arms? 2 aren't good enough for a robot?
No, it has 3 because we need a lot of help. And those arms are connected to instruments that are introduced into the patient through small incisions. And then we go to a console, a panel where we look through like a microscope and we manage the instruments.
So can we see on your website an example of like a robotic procedure?
I don't have any, but that's a great idea, David.
Well, maybe you'll have to get me in there to videotape and we can do some sort of a really cool video of you doing a robotic procedure and talk about that.
We could do that.
That'd be
one
awesome.
of the advantages of robotic surgery in those terms is that everything is through a video monitor, so we can always obtain...
Ooh, we should do that, Doc. I should get my video crew down there and we schedule a robotic procedure and we'll videotape the process. That would be cool. Then we can get you on the show and talk about this really 3-handed... Is it 3-legged too, or just 3-handed?
Three. No, just one leg. A single leg, 3 hands.
1 leg, 3 hands. Ooh, what we can do with that.
It's funny because patients are curious. Sometimes they tell me, please have them not giving any anesthesia until I go in because I want to see the robot.
Well, if we videotape it now, they'll get a chance to see what it's all about. I think that'd be really cool. Do we have to get permissions with tenants to do something like that? Yeah, of course we do. But so maybe we can work that out. That would be fun. And if we can't, we can't. But if we can, it'd be really cool. So tell me a little bit about some other procedures these robots do. And how do you activate it with a computer? Do you activate it with are you standing next to them and it's kind of like a puppet and you're pulling the strings? Like, tell me a little bit how it works.
Kind of like that, a lot more advanced than a puppet. You have like a handpiece where you put your hands and the movement of your fingers and your hands translate to the actions of the robot. So that's when you do it. And we actually do robotics for bariatric procedures. So we can do a gastric bypass or a gastric sleeve using the robot.
What do you mean a gastric sleeve?
Gastric sleeve is another kind of bariatric procedures. Bariatric surgery is basically there are three nowadays is the gastric bypass.
There are what?
Three kind of bariatric
Three,
surgeries.
okay.
The gastric bypass, which is the classic. The gastric sleeve, which is a surgery that is a little bit less invasive,
Okay.
but works almost as good as the gastric bypass. And then the duodenal switch, which is meant for people.
What's the last one?
Duodenal switch.
Duodenal switch.
Duodenal.
Oh, my goodness,
duodenum.
Doc. Can you spell that one for me?
Duodenal. D-U-O.
I gotcha.
D-E-N-A-L. Duodenal.
Duodena. Okay, so what is a duodena?
A duodenal switch is a different form of reshaping the bowel, so you obtain less absorption of fats and you lose weight by that way.
But the robot can be involved in that as well?
Yeah.
Wow, I really want to see this robot. It's really cool.
It makes it very effective and a lot of fun.
So that's your favorite thing to do, is these robotic procedures?
Yeah, that's something I enjoy a lot.
And they work in the reshape as well? Or no?
Not really, because remember that the reshape doesn't entail a surgery. We just go through the mouth.
Right. Gotcha. But in bariatric, it works.
It works in bariatrics.
Now, do you do gallbladder and things like that as well?
We can do that through the robot. We can do hernias with the robot. I do all that.
So I think is the benefit to the robot, besides making it easier on the doctor so it's less, I guess, tiresome, you could probably perform more surgeries every day. Is it that it's faster, speedier, more accurate? What is it exactly that makes it, just besides the wow factor, this is really cool, how does it help you? Is it more precise?
Well, it is more precise. It is patients bleed less when they have robotic procedures.
Well, why is that?
Because you're more precise in the dissection. You are able to control bleeding more accurately. We are allowed to do things through angles that are very difficult to obtain through laparoscopy. So, for example, we can take very easily the gallbladder out through just a single incision.
Yeah, but how does that incision have to do with the robot? So, like, I'm trying to imagine what about adding the robot to the procedure makes it bleed less, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a layman, doc. I don't get any of this stuff.
That's very good. We can do a whole show on that.
Yeah, I love it. It's so cool.
There's a lot into that.
Yeah.
Well, for example, when we do robotic, these instruments, the angles that they can take are bigger and wider than the angles that a human hand has. So when you go through a small incision, you can do wider dissection
laparoscopically
than laparoscopically. It allows you more mobility and more control.
Mm-hmm. So what is the lap band surgery? I mean, I just like the sound of it, lap band surgery.
Yeah,
it's like a musical band is singing in your lap.
Lap band is another kind of a surgical
You're not
procedure.
even laughing at my jokes, Doc. I'm trying really hard here.
It's late. We're all tired, huh?
Oh, wait. I think we have a call. Do we have a call? Yay! We got a call. We got Matt on the line. Hold on a minute. My jokes were being killed just there, so Matt called at the perfect time. Matt, you on the line?
I am.
Hey, can you make it louder, guys? Because I can't really hear them.
It's probably me.
Oh, no, there you go. Hey, Matt. This is Dr. Bayron. Can you, do you have a question for the doc? Have you been listening to the show at all?
Hi, Matt.
I have. I tuned in a little bit late, and I'm interested in how we would choose whether or not I would do a what you're calling the reshape procedure versus some of the more traditional bariatric procedures.
So the doctor was telling us about the BMI and the weight, right?
It will depend, Matt, basically about your weight. If your weight is extremely high, the reshape won't work for you, or at least it's not approved by the FDA to be implanted. There are a few patients that have an overlap. If you have any disease and your BMI is between 35 or 40, then you can choose. You can opt. It will be your option. It will be whatever you consider best for you.
It's based on the BMI body mass index. That's really what it's about. You have a follow-up question, Matt?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of research, and I noticed that I guess after about 6 months, the reshape has to come out. Tell me a little bit about what happens after it comes out.
Okay, yeah. The reshape needs to come out after 6 months, Matt, because that is the amount. Remember that this is a latex balloon that is inside of the stomach where you're constantly producing acids. And even though we will give you antacids for those 6 months, still it degrades the latex on the balloon, and the for safety issues, it needs to be removed because otherwise it may break. So after 6 months, we keep following you for the rest of the year. And at that time, we hope that you have participated from all the support and the education that we will provide, and keep doing that, and really have undergone a lifestyle change. At the end of the day, Matt, doesn't matter if you have surgery. It doesn't matter if you have a reshape. It doesn't matter if you lose weight by doing diet and exercise. If you don't complete a lifestyle change, nothing will work.
So one of the cool things, Matt, I'm not sure where you tuned in exactly, but one of the cool things that the doctor does is he has a seminar that he holds weekly, and each patient gets to have their own website, and they join the seminar, and they have partners that they work with, so they continue to help them after or post-surgery, so that or post-procedure, so that they don't just fall back into their old eating styles. But one of the topics we were talking about now, which I don't know if you heard us, is about robotic surgery and the cool things that take place on these 3-armed, one-legged robots. Have you heard about those, Matt?
I have, and actually, I did tune in late. Why don't, while I'm sitting here, is it okay if the doc directs me to his website or a phone number or some way I can get in touch with him off the air?
Yes, Matt, you can call my office at 954-6. Let me see.
I'll give it to you, Doc.
To get in touch with
the good doctor, you have to call 954-625-3576. That's 954-625-3576. He's at Florida Medical Center, which is located at 8395 West Oakland Park Boulevard, Suite F, and that's in Sunrise. And Dr. Fernando Bayron is a general surgeon and a bariatric surgeon who does this really cool procedure called the Reshape and other cool procedures that use robotics. So, we were talking about... thanks, Matt. Do you have any other questions before we go on?
No, thanks. I really appreciate the show, guys. Keep it up.
Thank you for calling, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. So, hopefully we've hooked Matt to hook some of his friends to come get some reshaping done. And I kind of want to swing back a little bit to those robotics, but if you want to talk back about reshape...
Whatever you want.
I'm just trying to get a visual of this really cool robot. So is it tall? Is it small? Is it a little thing on the table? Is it just, I've seen I'm a big fan of Grey's Anatomy and shows like ER and things like that. And I remember seeing in some of the procedures, I don't know if you've ever seen the shows, but they have little robotic arms that they just grab, and then it's just an arm that's doing robotics. But this is actual, a physical person standing there?
In reality, it doesn't. Yeah, we have all the idea of a robot like C-3PO. It's not a robot like C-3PO. Let me see if I can find. I surely have some pictures that you have a visual idea of how they look. It's a tower. In reality,
it's a tower. Okay.
It looks like a tower. That you roll to the side of the patient's bedside, and once you get it to the side of the bed, we call it docking. We dock the arms of the robot into...
You call it what?
Docking.
Dogging?
Docking. D-O-C-K. No, docking. D-O-C-K.
Okay, gotcha.
We dock the arms to the instruments, and once we do that, we're able, at that moment, I leave the bedside and sit in the console that is within the room, but like we're here sitting, I'm sitting.
So docking, I've been told that it's called docking, like you dock a boat. So you dock it, then you can leave the console and you can operate it from a distance and actually get a better, more clear, accurate picture of what you're doing.
Correct.
That's fabulous. I love that. So, okay, so we only have about 15 minutes left of the program. It's really flown by. I want to get into a little bit about you and your personality and what makes you, what makes you tick. Like, why did you decide to become a doctor? And where is that great accent? Is it Puerto Rican? Is it Venezuelan? Like, where does that come from? Tell us a little bit about you and who you are and what makes you great.
Well, it's Puerto Rican.
I thought
I've been
so.
living here for only 10 years. And I came on, so I guess I will never lose the accent. I can tell that my daughters don't have an accent. I let me tell you, I don't even remember where I became a doctor. It was so many years ago. So when I was studying, I always liked the sciences, but I didn't want to be a scientist. Scientists work by themselves in dark rooms. I wanted to work with people.
You like people.
I guess that was the reason I ended up being a doctor.
Okay, and so you've been here 10 years, and I guess I want to get a little bit back to the Reshape. Oh, wait, I think I'm being handed a picture of the robotic surgery. I don't think we can actually show this to the TV camera, but let me try. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I'm going to try to show that to the camera. So I don't know if I can do it. Nope, I lost it. Sorry, guys. So it was it's a really cool procedure. We'll put it up on our website for you guys to see. We're in the middle of building our website out right now. Our website address is going to be, and you'll get into this next week, but it's going to be stayingaliveandfit.com. That's STAYINGANDFIT.com, stayingaliveandfit.com, or you can reach us at lizgoodman.com. There'll both be ways that you can write in questions during our show, that you can see our show after it's been recorded. Today's show is actually being sponsored by, great shot of the robots. So we'll put this up afterwards. But today's show is being sponsored by SkyH2OWater.com. It's the first bottled water that will soon be on the market, and it's made from the air, not the ground. So we're one step cleaner. I talked to you about this a little earlier, Doc. What makes SkyH2O water a really unique product is it's purified straight from the condensation in the air. It doesn't touch the ground and pick up all sorts of leads. Leads don't float in the air. Metals don't float in the air. So all water, as you know, comes from the air. Most people go, oh, whoa, air is dirty. But what they don't remember is the hydrologic cycle and the fact that all water comes from the clouds, from the humidity, from the air, lands on the ground, and then picks up all sorts of contaminants, fish poop and lead and arsenic and mercury, like all sorts of crap, and then it gets purified and bottled. Our water is one step cleaner because it comes straight out of the condensation from the air. So being a scientist, I know you said you know a little bit about this technology. What do you think about it? Do you believe it's a better, healthier, purer thing to drink?
Yeah, I saw that a couple of years ago, and I thought that it was really cool. It's a great idea, and as you say, when we obtain water from the air, there's no contamination at all. So I think it's going to be the future.
Thank you. So you're going to buy SkyH2O water?
Well, I hope.
It's going to be on the market soon. I want you to look out for it. And one of the really cool things about this water is that, as you know, what kind of water do you use in surgeries?
Regular water. We need to have
distilled.
sterile
You
water.
use distilled water, right?
Yeah, it's the same
Basically.
process. It should be the same process.
But distilled water is actually water that touched the ground first and then was unnaturally vaporized and distilled in a lab. But people do understand the concept of distilled water. It's not drinkable because it needs to be pH balanced. With our water, it's one step cleaner than distilled water because it never touched the ground to begin with, right? Obviously it touches the ground in the hydrologic cycle, but it comes straight from the air and it's purified right from the condensation. So it's really cool. I'm really excited about it. And people will be able to find out more about it coming soon at www.skyh2o.com or www.skyh20.com. You'll get to us either way. So anyway, let me get you back to the doctor and talking briefly about the the last few things that he wants to mention about his practice and anything else you'd like to tell us about what you specialize in or what makes you tick when you're out there as a doctor doing procedures?
I think that I got to have the coolest life by being a surgeon. Every day is different. I get to meet a lot of great people that works with me, and we get to help people. It's so exciting when you go through your day and you know that some people have less pain because you help them, or some people corrected whatever problems they have. And mostly when you know that somebody could not control their weight and you were able to give them a tool so they can take control of their weight. That's just amazing.
Well, you're changing people's lives. You're changing their mindsets. You're changing their physicality. You're changing their emotional aspect. And it's, I really love the fact that you seem to really love what you do. I mean, some people just go through the motions, but you really connect. You're personable. And if I had to come to you as a patient, I'd feel comfortable talking to you because there's something about you that's just your whole demeanor and energy is very relaxing and likable. And I think that's really important when you trust a doctor. You want to be able to connect on a psychological level and know that they actually care about the outcome.
Yeah, I think that every doctor needs to try to get that connection. Whenever you see a patient, they're not there to celebrate with you anything. They're not happy. They're having a problem. They're there because they have a problem. So you need to understand that they're coming from a point of anxiety, of stress, of uncertainty, and you need to connect with them so you can ease them to go through the process, because at the end of the day, you need their help. You cannot do it by yourself. The patient needs to get involved in their therapy, and you need to get that connection to make them feel at ease.
So we only have a few minutes left, and I want to give it to you in a way where you can really let our listeners know who should call you if they need help. What specifically are symptoms other than, over obesity, but in general practice, what special symptoms should they look for if they need bypass surgery or some other surgery that you can give them from your heart as a learning tool for them to be able to look out for and know to call 911 or call your office to meet with you?
Well, if we're going to speak about obesity and who needs to really look for help, I think that anybody that is overweight needs to look for help. We know that when you are significantly overweight, your life is just going to be shorter, as simple as that. And we want you to obtain the longest life that you can get for your family, for your kids, for your loved ones. And while that happens, we want you to be healthy and be able to enjoy. People don't realize how much benefit they can get when they lose weight. Every kind of good thing starts happening. Your blood sugar gets controlled, your high blood pressure gets controlled, you get a social life, you get
your whole life is affected. So in general, 911 is obese. I mean, if you're obese, you need to call 911. And I don't mean the 911 like call the cops. I mean, you need to take a look at yourself and know that you're in an emergency situation. And if you are in an emergency situation, you need to reach out to Dr. Bayron, because he is clearly the guy who can help you, who will care about helping you, who wants to help you, who feels good about helping you. And not every doctor cares that much, and clearly you do. And I'm going to give out your contact information again because I really want people to know how to get in touch with you very quickly and very easily. They can find you at 8395 West Oakland Park Boulevard, and that's in Suite F on Sunrise. You're at the Florida Medical Center, and you are a general and bariatric surgeon, and you specialize, and the first doctor, as a matter of fact, in South Florida to start offering the new, really innovative, wonderful procedure called the Reshape, very non-invasive, 15 minutes in, 15 minutes out. Well, 2 hours out, 15 minutes in, and you literally change your life. It's only for 6 months the procedure lasts in your stomach, this balloon. And the benefit to it is that at the end of 6 months, you'll have retrained your brain and retrained your body to learn how to lose weight. And with the help of these seminars that Dr. Bayron holds weekly, you will have at least 1 year of post procedure, I guess, relationship and help to make sure that you stay on support to stay on course. And you can reach the good doctor at 954-625-3576. That's 954-625-3576. So we've got about 2 minutes left of the show, and I just want to say that this has really been fun. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. I'd like to welcome you back.
Yeah, we can do a full show on robots. You will really enjoy it.
It's can't really wait.
Cool. It makes me feel cool to be able to play with things.
Oh, yeah. Well, Doc, you got to be careful when you use words like that.
It's a lot of fun.
So he missed all my innuendos there. I think it's the language barrier. He's turning red. I think he's getting them now. So
no, I got it.
So anyway, Doc, I'm really excited about the idea of having you on the show again and us talking about robotics, because robotics is the future. And as I told you, this show, which I am now going to be taking over for Dana Hamill, it's called. You don't want to give the name, Doc?
The name of the show?
Staying Alive and Staying Fit.
Yeah, that reminds me of the bees, huh?
Staying alive and staying fit with Liz Goodman. And it's going to be about ways that you can follow me on my personal journey as I learn how to stay alive and stay fit. And I'm going to kind of create this environment where we're going to have the medical industry go up against the sort of organic health industry and have you guys kind of duel it out in my studio here and let you talk about why you should go medical, why you should go natural, and why we should really go in both directions, I think. A little bit of everything is always better than all of one thing or all of nothing. So here we go, guys. Staying alive and staying fit with Liz Goodman. Thanks to the good doctor, Bayron, from Florida Medical Center. And I want to say thank you to everybody for listening in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.